She had mentioned the sign of the four. She could obviously have meant the four kings of Midian comprising the stars of the typhoid cluster that were sentinels of Gideon's idol on Oprah, east of the Great Divide of Jordan dimensions. I had never been beyond the 7 dimensions of the Jordan to experience 4 stars in the planet of Oprah or its legendary mystery. Maybe she meant a 4-dimensional space theory was another time. It didn't lift me up and away with ideas about where she was. I was certain that I never wished to visit Oprah since I had never completed my research on the individuation of multidimensional ontology at home on Mars. True, home was just a concept of an extra-dimensional quark field sailing ship presently, yet one had to start somewhere before actualizing dreams, even if they are just the simplest and smallest of concepts. Oprah is a place of dream fabrications, a synergy of the Wizard of Odds, downloading data structures, of uncertainty like a profusion of Neo-M theories. Where is the spirit of God when the imminence of evil dwarfs privacy and liberty? How is it that so many souls have ventured onto the planes of reality without love in their hearts for the other sentient beings drifting through these creations? Would many alien species overcome the urge to make appetizer hors d'oeuvres of extra-species sentience or proud stir-fry trophies of one's friends? It is the quality of trust that the human being heirs most readily. I have found that often when I sympathized with the disadvantaged, with those bruised by history and falling before the achievement of the optimal in their life potential, and when I have intervened to help, it is then that invariably I receive reason to regret it. The inability to have a cold-blooded, callous indifference to the fate of one's fellow man and woman, so far as it doesn't threaten directly one's own interest, is the most critical vulnerability to potential injury that ought to be closed. In caring and intervening, there is great risk and avoidable danger. Yet I know I will never achieve that moral indifference requisite for prosperity. In fact, though I resolve never to help those better off materially than myself, I probably will fail at that endeavor too. Lush, I think, is just a categorical imperative before thought or obligation. Because she is lush, and I alone, her recovery is an essential and immediate task that shall continue without elective determination about initial purposes or objectives. Instead, the electives will be founded upon selection methods. A world of stone souls in a twilight evening sky gave very few sounds to travel through the 8 good air. With a corrupt caretaker superficial governance of on and off world travel modality, it seems surprising that the air is yet of good quality for human consumption and free. Hydra Centaurus might be reached from the direction of its gravitational attractor for far less cost than the defensible region of the galactic uninhabitability zone of the Virgo cluster. Yet it was in the Virgo cluster that one might escape expanding horizons of concentrated wealth, collectives eliminating independence, free enterprise, and ultimately free life through the nefarious process of networking transgalactic subsidiaries. Both hierarchical and communal non-democratic organizations were invidious agents of corporate socialization. Like a retrovirus, global and galactic organizations enter a democratic and humanitarian society to mimic its political coding and intentions before taking over and killing the host selves, leaving an occluded front, hierarchical organization, as the Spencerian survivor heir of the most ruthless selection process. Pure organizational power consolidating without reason, except for consumption of mass and power over others, had destroyed the ecological and social prosperity of hundreds of thousands of human worlds, beginning with the Earth from its humble origin in the United States of America. In that first outbreak of contagion eventually attacking the free Mars colony, an American populace seduced into globalism by political propaganda leverage supported the redistribution of wealth to the global corporatist rich through the development of pervasive financial networks. The democratic elections became an entertainment means of mollifying the 95% of the population that were voters and yet had less than 50% of the nation's wealth. The show, elections, promoted tools of corporate value to domesticate an electorate into supporting their increasing indebtedness and failure to acquire personal capital for non-corporate competition in business. After 1989, the American public began supporting its own doom under the indirect leadership of the global anti-democratic corporate quasi-oligarchic hegemony. In time, the decay and the planetary chaos and interminable local wars expanded to Mars with the imperial aspirations of Ersatz Emperor War Prissy. The global corporate force is able to expand off-world employed communist union revolutionary dragoons and accepted a Pax Communistica and farther galactic expansions in return for a percentage of the profits of communal worlds and a monopoly on communications and networks infrastructure, architecture, and design. In space-time, the ratios of wealth reallocated to management and directing authorities would increase, while that of the gutted and cleaned fish-pool workers would decrease. On most worlds, the rave and mind gutting had destroyed